Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. Today, in honor of Halloween, we're going to talk about scary movies.
Ooh.
Good ones, bad ones, what our favorites are, and more. So stick around and hang out as we talk about some of our favorite scary movies.
How do you guys pronounce it? Halloween? Halloween? What's your pronunciation?
Halloween, I'm not a weirdo. I've heard Halloween before. Like they
I
like a
think, yeah, technically, I think it's supposed to be Halloween, like it's a hollow day, but no one
yeah,
ever
Oh,
because
actually
of
says
Old
that.
Hallows Eve or whatever. I learned that from
Yeah, but
Hocus
no one
Pocus.
pays attention to that.
No, it's Halloween.
I think
Okay.
that's an East Coaster thing. I don't know.
So let's start with a pretty easy question. Say your name and spell. I'm just kidding. That's a news.
Oh
That's
my
what
goodness.
that's what Desmond would always say. He'd go,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna start give you the easiest
I
question
miss
of all."
Desmond.
He's a good guy.
I
Sorry,
wonder how he's
Desmond.
doing.
Desmond was the guy we worked reported we worked with.
A fantastic guy we worked with.
Yeah, we should get him on the podcast. I bet he'd be down to do it.
You think he'd do that?
Oh yeah, Desmond. Yeah, he would. Okay, sorry. Let's talk about stuff. So I'm gonna start off with this question, super easy. What was your first scary movie that you remember seeing? And by
Yeah,
scary, it can be horror.
are we gonna talk about a scary movie or the first movie we were scared at?
No, let's do
Because
like your.
I can dig down
Why don't we
into a
start
real lame
with
answer.
Why don't we start with the first scary, like first technically horror movie you
Okay.
watched?
Because there's still some Disney movies that I haven't
Oh, I
finished
got
watching.
I got one that I can say scared me, but I'll talk about it later. That isn't a horror movie. But go ahead. Somebody, what's your favorite or not favorite? Was your first like scary movie that you were exposed to?
So I guess my first scary movie, I remember renting or having my parents rent for me at Hollywood Video, Frankenstein, 1931. And I guess that was a part of a string of scary movies such as like
Mm-hmm.
Wolfman, Dracula, and a number of others. But Frankenstein had this crazy looking monster of Frankenstein, and it's played by Boris Karloff, and he reprises the role in different versions. But anyways, what makes it scary to me is just the humanization of the monster that is created from this lifeless body, and you that infamous line that's been parodied in so many ways in society. It's alive! It's alive! I mean,
Oh,
we all have heard of that. Remember,
yeah,
that's where it comes from.
yeah. No,
And
I was
just
like, what is he talking about? Go ahead.
but the moment that the monster comes to life, it's just a spectacle. And I was like, I don't, I probably like, I gotta be at least eight, nine, or 10, I would say, when I first saw it. Anyways, the humanization of the monster, his interactions with society, you begin to feel bad for him, but you
That's the point of the
also
movie,
begin
isn't it?
to get scared of him. It is. I think of the original, no, was it Mary Shelley
Hmm.
who wrote the book, Frankenstein. But, anyways, I mean, the scary bits come from just the visual, drowsy look of the monster, his glazed look in the eye, and for the most part, he doesn't speak, he just grunts such. But that scares me the most was his interaction with this little girl that he kind of seemed to be fond of, but then he eventually just gets scared and drowns her in a pond, I believe.
That was an
But
accident, though,
and then
right?
toward the end, but
It's
he
still terrifying
claims
for
it
the little
was.
girl.
It was scary for me because I was, stranger danger. That was me as a kid thinking, of people that are strangers. You don't know if they're
Right.
trying to molest you or what. Like real fears I had. As a kid and being informed about weird people in the world. But so that kind of connected to me a little bit. Not that I have been abused or by any means, but toward the end of the movie when the town people come together with their pitchforks and such, and they ultimately kill the monster, and you hear the screams of Frankenstein's monster being burned alive in Might have been a windmill facility. I forgot for sure, but they burned him alive essentially. He comes back to life in sequels, but the first one is that stuck with me the most as a kid. I remember going back to the Hollywood Video. I wasn't much of a blockbuster guy, but VHS, getting Frankenstein and the other ones weren't as scary to me. The Wolfman just was just a guy in a suit to me, whereas the monster, he's for the most part, some prosthetics, some makeup, but it's just the ominous silence and the weird shots they occasionally use of the monsters, an up and down, vertical pan, close-ups of the eyes. Again, these are lifeless eyes. It's a lifeless guy that's moving around somehow.
Like a zombie.
That's definitely, I guess, where it started for me. Yeah, zombies, but less
Zombie-ish.
noisy. Yeah, a
You
little
know,
bit smarter.
I just realized I forgot to introduce us.
If we're on season 2, if they don't know who we are by now,
Yeah,
I'm Zach.
Go.
Zach Briggs.
Justin Strange, and then Jerome, the M dog, manager dog. Inside joke. We're not allowed to say the whole thing.
For our friendship,
Okay.
I'm gonna let that slide.
All right.
So what about you, Jake Aroni?
Man, this is really difficult for me because we never watched horror movies growing up. We lived we were
Shelter.
strict religious. Does Passion of the Christ count?
Scary moments.
Yeah.
I've had more nightmares from Passion of the Christ than I have from any other horror movie I've watched.
I mean, it makes sense, especially if you're a Christian, because you see Jesus die on the cross, and I saw that movie in theaters, and I remember when they were going to nail his feet, I had to look away.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
I remember my parents brought it home to watch on DVD.
DVD, what's that?
I just remember cowering in the other room, terrified to even look in from the kitchen because it was terrifying, gruesome and brutal, and just the actress that played Satan was just so
Actress?
terrifying.
What year did you see this movie?
I don't know, man. I was
Was it with
junior high.
the Mel Gibson version?
Yeah, it's Mel Gibson's.
I didn't know a woman played.
Yeah,
That's
sure
interesting.
did.
I'm about to look it up.
And the dead donkey and the little demon children chasing Judas around, that gave me nightmares for weeks, man.
And Jesus of Nazareth from 1977, that gave me some creepy vibes too. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
It was a TV show actually.
I think if you had to if I had to classify the first or my favorite horror genre that's actually classified as a horror, it'd probably be The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
John Carpenter. That's cool. I've never seen.
Shut up.
I've never seen The Thing.
You've never seen John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yes, I have. If I don't have to deal with someone going, "You've never seen this," then yes, I have.
What?
Only because I get it all the freaking time when I haven't seen a movie that I'm supposed to see.
Well, you
because I'm
need
a
to see it.
filmmaker.
You need to, not because you're a film, it's because it's a good movie.
I'll see it eventually. All right.
God dang.
They're gonna be on my to-do list. I watched the VHS.
That's the next movie we're watching. That's the next movie.
Okay.
You guys had to sit through. You're gonna sit through The Thing.
Dude,
That's
we
the
had to
next
sit through
movie I want
Cats
to talk
for
about.
you. Talk about a horror movie. We had to sit through Cats for you.
So
All right,
relishing in that.
I think so. I didn't really watch horror movies as a kid. I watched a lot of comedies and stuff. But the first movie that I watched that was scary and that made me kind of fall in love with scary movies was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Have you guys seen it?
Is that the one with the cool music?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say, is that the one with Emily Rose? But I do remember the music being pretty neat on that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I went with a girl to the movies when it came out.
Old choice.
And
What year was this?
She wanted to see it, and I was like, all right, I'll go see it because
As a bold choice in women.
I mean, I tell you, and I was like, yeah, baby, let's go.
Mid 2000s? What are we talking about?
I think it came out in 2005. I'm about to look
Wow.
it up.
2005.
My goodness, I was a little kid still.
Yeah, 2005. I was a senior. Actually, I think it came out in September of 2005, which means I had already graduated high school. And I think
Wow.
I saw my
That's
friend
crazy.
I saw my friend at Walmart, and she was like, "I've been wanting to go see this movie, and nobody wants to go see it." I was like, "I'll go see it with you," and so I did.
I
And
would
then
have been.
I freaking loved it, and that's kind of what got me into like movies about possessions and demonic stuff. I don't believe in that stuff, but hey, it's cool to watch on TV. So,
Are
um,
you a fan more of the paranormal type
yeah, because
horror
like
films?
I've never. Okay, speaking of not having seen The Thing, I've never seen the majority of Friday movies. No Nightmare on Elm Street. No Halloween movies. I've seen Freddy versus Jason, and I've seen Jason X, which is Jason in space. But other than that, never seen. I'm not a huge like slasher fan. I do have a friend that is, and I asked him to be on the podcast, but he couldn't do it, which I really was like, I needed him for this. This is like his bread and butter. But
Really?
yeah, yeah, it's my friend Austin.
Fanatic.
You know Austin.
Oh, Austin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had to go on a business trip, so he couldn't make it with us today. But
Ooh.
yeah, I know. So like, I'm not a huge fan of slasher movies, but I'm not down. I'm like down to watch them. Like, I just haven't. So
I thought about starting the Halloween franchise now that the last one, the
yeah,
last
They
one
always say that,
is
right?
coming out.
yeah.
Like I've never seen any of them. I should go back and go through because there's like they have the series and there's like
So
like
many
a
movies.
reboot and then the
There's a
retcon, the reboot, and it's like a whole mess.
Halloween in space.
I don't think there's a Halloween in space. There's a Jason in space.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Who's better, Jason or Mr. Michael Myers?
I'd
Who would win in a fight?
I'd
They're
say
similar.
I'd say Jason. I think he's a lot bigger and stronger, right? Only thing is, you gotta just light him on fire and he's dead. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not a huge fan of slasher movies, but I'll watch them. It's just haven't. I think my favorite series of like those kind of movies though would have to be because I do like Chucky. So like Child's Play 1, 2, 3. Then there's Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and Cult of Chucky. And I don't know if you guys have seen those. And then there's Child's Play with Mark Hamill, which was pretty cool. And then Chucky, the series came out last year, and season 2 is about to come out. So I'm really excited for that. So yeah, those are like the only like movies that I slasher type killer movies that I've watched all the way, like the whole series because I own them on Blu-ray. So
You think there's a true stereotype, like for majority of horror movies, that the acting's just bad?
no, I just think it just happens that way.
It just happens that way.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's cheesy plot most of the time, especially in the old days. Like, I mean, a lot of those plots, just not just horror movies, but like movies in general, were kind of cheesy. The good thing about that is there was no like logic needed. It's like no logic, no explanation. Whereas nowadays, if you want people to watch your movie, you have to explain to them why this is possible. It's like that's what suspension of disbelief is for, so that we don't have to explain why something is possible. But nowadays, you got to make it realistic. That's what people want. So
The realism, gritty. Got to be gritty. It's got to be dark.
More like you got a billionaire who wants to build a suit of armor kind of thing. Like we got to make sure that we got to make sure that it makes sense that he can build a suit of armor and everything, and everything's got to be like it's got to make sense. There's got to be logic behind it, which is fine. I enjoy that, but I also would like a movie where they're like, "Hey, we're going to go to this other planet. Well, how are you going to get there? We're going to teleport." It's like, okay, done.
All right.
That's a very like rough sketch of a crappy movie that I just made up. So next question is like what kind of if you had to pick a type of scary movie, like what would it be? Not like an example, but like a version of a scary movie that you enjoy.
Like the genre.
Yeah. So like you like The Thing.
Like psychological.
Yeah. Okay.
Psychological horror. So like Us, The Shining,
Shining, so good.
Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
Black Swan,
Black
anything
Swan.
that kind of has to deal with this psychological aspect of like, is it real? Is it not? Is it all in their head? Why is this happening? Figure out
So,
the clues.
how do you feel with the ending being the killer was the main character all along?
If they do it well, I enjoy it. Like
Any
I don't have a problem with that concept as just blank as a blanket statement. I'm not gonna say like it's good or it's bad one or another. I think there are better uses of it than others, but I'm fine with it if it services the plot and it seems earned. Go for it.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I've never seen a movie where I thought, "Oh my God, I can't believe he was the killer." It's more like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he was the killer." Like to me, that is like one of the biggest cheats in movies you can do is make the main character your killer. That's some sort of twist. It's like no, it's a cop out. It's kind of how I see it. To me, I haven't seen it be done well, but that's just me. And I haven't really seen a lot of movies like that, but like the ones I have seen, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what? Why?
Like in Scooby Doo, the bad guy is always someone that the gang knew initially.
Kind of like Scrappy Doo. That was
Sure.
funny.
Yeah.
But the first one, it was Scrappy Doo was the villain, right? The
I'm
main
just
villain.
talking in general. The series is.
Oh,
the
you're talking
trope.
about the TV show. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, that was, I mean, okay, that's Scooby freaking Doo though, Zach. Okay, they were always
I got scared.
they were always somebody that they knew, that had, I don't know why, but to me that wasn't that bad. But I'm talking about like horror movies that try to do it more seriously, where they're like, oh my God, the whole time I was the killer. It's like, no, dude, you had to have known. Like, there's just no way. But maybe I'm wrong. What about you, Zach? What kind of scary movies do you enjoy?
I enjoy the paranormal. I enjoy some found footage, but I guess I'm not very peculiar on what type of scary movies I enjoy. But
Okay.
The Fourth Kind, I'm a big UFO guy, and there's a movie called The Fourth Kind.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Fourth Kind in forever.
Counters.
Yeah.
You guys have seen that?
I've seen it once, a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I like
Yeah.
it when he makes the mountain out of his potatoes.
I think you're thinking
No,
of a
that's-
different movie.
that's-
You're thinking of Close Encounters.
That's in Close
I am thinking
Encounters
Close
of the
Encounters.
Third Kind. Yeah.
The Fourth Kind is an alien movie, which I think still is Close Encounters, but it's a
It's
different.
like
It's a
the
newer
Blair
version.
Witch Project, but for
Oh yeah, you're right.
UFO enthusiasts.
So the
essentially.
aliens weren't the good guys? no.
Not this time.
Aliens are not this
Oh
time.
no!
Just think of like Paranormal Activity meets I don't know, some alien abduction.
I would have
and
been so excited to meet them.
basically, like investigators go to Alaska because they hear reports of people going through experiences, and they eventually trace it down to
Vitamin D percent.
aliens. And it's a found footage that claimed to be based off real events, but it's actually not. It's all just entertainment. But it's pretty. I enjoyed it. It's one of the something about found footage movies I enjoy is the feeling of realism,
Right.
if it's done well. And again, the Fourth Kind isn't constantly handy cam or recordings of sessions of interactions between the investigators and the person that claims he or she was abducted. It's a good mix of traditional cinematography and
Found footage.
recordings, the found footage, yeah. But there's this one particular scene toward the end, and like my chills go down my entire spine because a mother sees this ominous light shine down on this home, and that's where her daughter is. This mother's acting as she goes in and discovers that her daughter's not there. She's obviously up in the air,
Jake,
somewhere.
dude.
But alien abductions in general, I think it's scary because that paralysis that people go through as they're in bed, they're unable to move. They have this massive glands of sweat that just overcame them, and these silhouette creatures with massive bulging eyes. I'm thinking of like the gray alien. That's one of many types of aliens.
How does the creators of the third kind feel about the fourth kind besmirching their good name?
Well, probably different. Not aliens are good.
What a bunch of dicks.
You saw what you saw. Zod and Cal L.
Zod. Oh my god. You would bring that up. Well, I enjoy so I just, dude, we're right here.
Yep.
Jake's eating
ice cream.
Apparently not.
I don't hear it.
Rob says eggnog.
I know it's not that I don't. No, it's not that I don't hear. It's not that we hear it. I can see it.
Eggnog ice cream. What?
You wish you had Brahms ice cream.
I thought you said eggnog ice cream. That'd be disgusting.
It
does sound disgusting. It does.
And it's delicious.
It looks like the Russian ice cream that you could buy in Russia.
You don't know ice cream.
It looks like the Russian ice cream you can buy in Russia.
Look it up.
Okay, I believe you. All right, let's move on. Let's get away from the ice cream. I apologize. So I just watched. I don't know if y'all have seen the VHS movies, like the movies titled VHS, not.
I'm still trying to figure out what you were talking about.
Group chat.
Huh?
Yeah, that caused some confusion in our group chat.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to.
Just watching horror movies on VHS, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope. He's an old VHS player." You're like, "No, it's a movie. You idiot."
Let me. I didn't say you idiot. Let me stop you right there.
In between the VHS,
I put slashes. Let me stop you right there, Zach. It is called a VCR, not a VHS player.
I never said
that. But it plays VHSs.
I meant Jake. I'm sorry, Jake. Zach would never call it a VHS player.
That's like calling a remote a clicker or a thingy
or a channel changer.
I will fight you.
Oh, a channel changer. No, VCRs all the way, not VHS player. Anyway, that's like a pet peeve of mine.
No, explain it to me. You're gonna have to explain it to me. Why?
No. Okay, so if you've ever seen the VHS movies, basically it's like found footage with a little story around it. So like the first one is about it's about these teenage kids that break into a house and find a bunch of VHS tapes like that had been being played on a bunch of TVs. So one of them decides to watch them, and they're just like, like little horror movie shorts on VHS, and they're really good. Like the first one's about these guys, these frat boys that go out and party at night, and they bring these girls home, and one of them is like a demon. She like ends up, she ends up like growing wings and taking this guy up in the air and dropping him and stuff. It's crazy. And then there's a second one about these two like private investigators that are trying to find a missing kid. So they go to this house, and the female of the private investigators watches these different movies, and so. And then the third one's called VHS Viral, and I'm still not 100% sure what that one's about. I think it's about this person that wanted to make a viral video, but around it or inside of it are a bunch of short horror movie type things. And in the second one, you made me think about the last one. It's about these kids that get abducted by aliens, and the aliens were freaking creepy, man. They were so creepy. Like we
humanoid?
Think yeah, well, no, but like they look like your traditional alien. The only difference was, for one thing, they kind of had a monster vibe, and they had these long arms with these big hands, and they only had 3 fingers. It was weird. So anyway, if you've never seen the VHS movies, I would watch
this one. Though, in the film's canon, are these VHS like home videos real, or are they also here's short little horror stories? You just watch them with characters.
No, they basically are real inside of the story of VHS, right? But somehow this person has gotten like a collection of them because they're like things.
Like an aficionado for the
weird.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like somebody's trying to lure these people into these houses where these VHS tapes are so they can do stuff. Like in the second one, that was kind of the vibe I got, was they were trying to get someone to come find this kid, and they found him, and he ends up killing them, blah, 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 blah. So
crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, if you've never seen VHS, I'd advise at least watch one of them. The first 3 are on Hulu, and they're about to come out with They came out last year with a new one called VHS 94, and this year they're coming out with VHS 99. So, yeah, pretty excited. So,
I have a question.
Sure,
Do you think
go for
the
it.
kids will know what a VH is now?
No, I mean,
Like
they
they're
still
not going to
don't.
know the meaning behind VHS.
Yeah, I when I was teaching high school, I brought a bunch of different formats to school, and nobody really knew what it was except for maybe Blu-ray and 4K, but they're so used to streaming everything. They don't really see physical versions, and maybe except at Walmart. So I brought a VHS and a Laserdisc, and I made them like look up the information about it so they could learn. So what's your question, Zach?
Have you guys seen The House That Jack Built by Lars von Trier?
Nope, but Lars von Trier
Heard of it?
is like, I wouldn't say crazy, but he makes crazy movies.
Yeah, and this is a crazy movie about it's a fictionalized version of an intelligent serial killer, and he views each kill as a work of art, and it's pretty nasty. And some of the stuff that he does is, obviously pretty controversial, but you should check out the movie. It came out in 2009. Matt Dillon stars
Matt
in
Dillon.
it. Uma Thurman's in it as one of the many
I do.
victims.
That name sounds familiar, like that, not the name Uma Thurman, but the house that Jack built. I do remember that coming out.
I think I remember telling you at some point about it, but there's just so many crazy scenes. Like he's playing with his prey, essentially, getting to know people, families and kids, and taking them out for how to shoot a gun, how to shoot deer, and then he quickly shifts his own motivations and watches as this family enjoys themselves eating lunch, and then he proceeds to kill them.
Wowza. There was a
Yeah.
movie by him I watched called Antichrist, and that's like a crazy movie too. I'm not going to go into what it's all about, but I will.
I think that was another movie my parents watched.
Really? Antichrist?
Is that that, or it was like it's like Left Behind or something like that?
Oh, that's different. That's way different. Left Behind is a Christian movie about the
Antichrist,
rapture.
Left Behind. They're both in the Book of Revelation.
Right, but this movie doesn't have anything to do with an antichrist. It's just about a couple whose son dies while they're having sex, and so they go out to their cabin in the woods to try to like fix their marriage, and it doesn't work.
Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is a good movie too.
Why is it called Antichrist?
I don't know, man. I guess I need to do some research. I don't know why it's called Antichrist, but I bought
They
it.
just slipped that name in it. They just
Yeah.
slipped that name in it, knowing you'd buy it.
I was like, oh, this is about the Antichrist. No, I read about the description and I bought it anyway. It was a Criterion Collection. Okay, so we kind of talked about the movies that we enjoy as far as horror movies go, and some of the first ones that we've seen. But like, let's talk about like our favorite horror movies. And I know we've kind of talked about that, but do y'all have like an all-time favorite? Maybe I'll talk about mine to start. Actually, Zach just brought it up. A movie that I really, really enjoy and that actually scared me in theaters. Scary movies typically don't actually scare me. This movie did kind of freak me out, and it's called As Above, So Below. And it's kind of like a found footage film where they go down into the catacombs of France, and they go down so low that they go to hell. And they're looking for the Philosopher's Stone, which is the same stone that is in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
And it got it first.
That a-hole. What an asshole. Dumbledore. And it kind of does the same thing on Harry Potter. It keeps you immortal or whatever it's supposed to. And it's like, it's really, the first time I watched it, it scared me. It freaked me out. And then after that, it got a little better because I had seen it a few times. And so that's probably one of my all-time favorites, as well as Exorcism of Emily Rose, because, I mean, she was my first,
What makes that movie so bone-chilling? Because I've seen that movie. You introduced me to that movie. Remember you watched it?
I think it is like, it kind of has that found footage element where it can seem real, but also they're underground, like, and everything there's like no hardly, I mean, there is CGI, but the CGI looks really good. The people who play like these hell figures aren't CGI. They're all in makeup and stuff, and they look creepy. And so I think it's like the found footage thing plus that being underground. It kind of has that claustrophobia feel.
Yeah, and the overall atmosphere, that
Right.
naked cult,
Yeah. Yeah.
and from a distance you could hear this ominous
Singing. The singing.
singing. I mean,
You tell me there's a bunch of
that
nude
was
people
wild.
partying down
Yeah.
in the
Well, they're not really partying.
manhole.
They're just like standing still and singing. And also like the whole place is messing with them too. Jake, you'll because a lot of them had done things in the past that they're ashamed of, and the area kind of brings it to light,
So
including.
this is like descending through the layers of hell. Then
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
deal.
it
exactly.
is. I think they make direct
Well,
reference
they
to that
even
too.
say
Yeah.
like you're entering hell essentially is what they say because they get to this area that has like this I guess it's Latin or something over it and it just essentially says you're in hell, you're going to hell. And so if you haven't seen it, Jake, you should watch it, especially if you like the psychological horror movies. Like it messes with their minds and stuff. So
Okay.
cool. What about
Pretty
you, Zach?
visceral. I mean, I would just touch on what they don't find much except some treasures.
Well,
some
they find the
gold,
Philosopher's Stone.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they find
Yeah.
it because the kid, one of the guys dies, right? I think it's the main dude. He dies, and she uses it to bring him back.
But not
Mm.
the same.
And then they exit the manhole
No, he's the same.
upside down or
Oh, what?
something.
Yeah, they do come out of a manhole upside down. It like they have to push it down when they're underground, but then when they come out, they're up right side up. It's really weird.
I remember the ending of the movie. I kind of felt a little bit dissatisfied.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't know, just like okay.
Hey.
After that big old nightmare of a ride, they
They're
seem to be
fine.
They all make it?
No, not all of them.
Okay.
Just a couple of them. But yeah, you should watch it, Jake.
Yeah, it makes
so-
me actually want to watch that now.
So I guess would your favorite then, Zach, be Frankenstein?
No, I don't. I'd say Hereditary.
Oh man, that's a good movie too. I had to watch that twice to really appreciate it. Like the first, and the same with The Witch. Like I saw The Witch once, and I'm like, this is stupid. But then I'm like, then I watched Hereditary, and I was like, this is stupid. But then I watched it again. I was like, oh my god, that was so good. So
Several years since I've seen
Yeah.
it. 824s, you guys
right.
know.
As I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate horror a lot more. Like growing up, I never watched horror. I don't, and I've said before on this podcast, I don't like horror. I don't like jump scares, right?
Right.
But I've grown to appreciate them and the fact that they actually can be meaningful and tell stories. Like growing up, it was always just like, oh, horror bad, demons, oh, they're, that's satanic, that's bad. And now as an adult, I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, this is a scary film. There's gruesome depictions, but it also, a lot of horror movies often have an underlying theme that they
Mhm.
use the horror to like explore and
Mhm.
like look at from different angles. And maybe that just comes with maturity and age, or the fact that I just watch movies more often now, but I can appreciate horror for a more nuanced genre than just like, ooh, horror bad.
Well, I
Although
think that.
there is also just
Oh
like,
yeah. Ooh,
there's
horror
also
bad.
just a bunch of like slutty, shoot 'em
Well,
up, chop
Blood
'em
and
up
guts
movies.
slasher. Yeah,
I think that back in the day, that's what
meant to be
horror.
taken seriously.
Well, horror, I don't. It was more like it was like nowadays we do have a lot more plot and story in horror movies, but back then, we just there really wasn't any plot or story. It was just like, oh my God, a guy in a hockey mask is slashing, killing people with a machete. We got to figure out how to kill him, kind of thing. Except for The Exorcist, which is also a freaky movie from the 70s. Except for that
Well, I mean,
movie,
like Hitchcock's films
Okay,
are
but-
full of motifs and
right? But
layers.
oh well, yeah. I mean, the Hitchcock movies I've seen, to be honest with you, I've never seen Psycho, but I've seen several scenes from Psycho just from being in film school, and that's probably why I've never seen it. But the movies I've seen, and actually Alfred Hitchcock Presents, is more like kind of like the Twilight Zone. It's kind of how I liken to Alfred Hitchcock, especially Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I don't really see a lot of his movies as horror movies, but I could see why some people would probably think that. I love Hitchcock, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention 28 Days Later. That's the 2002 post-apocalyptic movie in London. after
Yeah.
a
That was one of the
virus
first
takes
depiction
over.
of fast zombies, right?
Yeah.
In popular cinema.
Remember like World War Z, the Tom Cruise one. That was Fast Zombies
That's
too.
Brad Pitt.
I hated that movie.
That's Brad
Was it
Pitt.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how forgettable that movie was for me.
Terrible.
Compared to the book, I hear.
Well, yeah,
The
that's what
book is we've talked.
we
The
have
book
talked
is
about this.
amazing. It's nothing like the movie. The only thing they share is the title.
Was the book has like a
I hate the
series
movie
of
so much.
Is it the book has like a series of different stories?
Yeah, the book is like they've won the war and it's a historical retelling. They're like little vignettes of different people of survivor stories, and it'd be great for like Twilight Zone or Hitchcock Presents. It'd be great for a serialized, series.
Well, maybe they'll do that.
But it's not the movie.
Everything's been being turned into a TV show now, so heck, maybe
Well, this
World
one
War
will
Z will
work
get
for a
the
TV
treatment.
show.
Yeah, maybe it'll get the treatment. Okay, so any other movies that you guys like that kind of overall of the other ones?
Oh, I have a few. I
Okay.
think
I mean, I'll save it for another podcast, but I'm just say The Thing is probably my favorite. Just wonderful, wonderful film. And again, it's a very heavy. It's less on jump scares, more on the psychological horror and claustrophobic angle.
Beautiful.
Who is the monster and who's next? It's really a really fun ride.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Human Centipede.
you love that the feces everywhere,
Yeah, it's
moaning. My God.
I think it. I mean, like, I'm more like the more disturbing the better, and I like Antichrist was one of the only movies I've ever had to like cringe away from. I mean, I still really enjoyed it, but it was one of the only movies I was like, oh my God, I can't, like, that's so like gross, but I still watched it. And the Human Centipede, I didn't even do that. I was like, this premise is so dumb, but it's so like, it's kind of like Sharknado. It's so bad to me that I enjoy it, and it's gross and stuff. So I enjoy like kind of gross stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo.
You heard it first, people. Justin loves gross stuff.
You heard it here first. Justin's a weirdo.
Jordan's my brother. Don't you ever call me Jordan.
No, I was going to mention one more.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
The Last Jedi.
You would. We'll save that for a different podcast.
That was a psychological.
I don't know, man.
That's not a terror. That was a torture. That was psychological torture.
Guys,
Luke, you could even see in Mark Hamill's face.
He hated
in that
being
movie.
there, man. Going back and watching his like the whole run up, the whole promotion series to that. He was trying to warn us the entire time, and we didn't listen.
we didn't listen. I don't know, man. I didn't think it was the best, but I didn't hate it. But maybe that's just one of the few. The only thing I didn't care for was what's his face, General Hux being like, "I'm the spy." I was like, dude, like, why are you? You know, like
he overacted.
that, and whenever on what is it called, The Rise of Skywalker, when Kylo Ren's just like, you're his granddaughter. I'm like, why did you tell us that? Why couldn't you just let us figure it out? But whatever, because they needed to get it. They needed to get it rolling, is what I'm thinking. Is like
That was a bloated movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they needed to get it rolling. They're like, we don't have time to let the audience figure this out. Let's just tell them that, she's his granddaughter. It's like, that's all that, and then be done with it.
That's wonderful movie making.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so, and then the whole thing with Finn being like,
somehow Palpatine has returned.
well, I was pretty excited. I thought he looked pretty. I thought he looked pretty badass.
Palpatine looked cool, but they needed a better reason
to bring him back. Yeah, I get that.
In Legends, though, he does come back to life. He's like a clone of himself.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. So, what about, since it is Halloween instead of just horror movies? What about Halloween movies not called Halloween, but like family Halloween movies? Like, are there any ones that stand out or that you enjoy?
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I was that.
Yes,
Christmas.
I have one.
Oh yeah, I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's probably one of my favorite Disney movies.
We watched that
Tim
the other
Burton,
day.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. What's this? What's this?
Don't sing, Jake.
We can say a little bit.
All right. Well,
like a certain number.
If I get charged for
seconds.
It's
this,
a reasonable amount.
it's coming out of your bank account.
All right, I'll foot the bill.
Get
So-
your Venmo ready.
Yeah. So we have The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's a good one. That's one of my
Yes.
favorite. That's actually one of my favorite Disney movies ever made. That and a Goofy movie.
It's a great the Great Pumpkin.
Oh yeah,
Charlie Brown. There
yeah,
we go.
yeah.
I've got VHS.
I haven't seen that in a long time, a very long time.
I don't know if it counts, but James and the Giant Peach kind of weirded me out.
Okay, but that's not a family-friendly
That's-
Halloween movie. Just because the peach is orange, it's not a pumpkin. But let me go ahead and tell you, Jake, that movie is wonderful. I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
It's
Hard
a
to
wonderful
Weirded me
movie.
out as a kid.
Movies that take place during Halloween. It's hard to.
Well, Hocus Pocus, you mentioned that, and that
Halloween
just
Town.
and Halloween Town. Wizards of Waverly Place is a TV show, but I think they made a
That
movie.
was a movie.
Count.
I think they made a movie.
I feel like Harry Potter kind of counts.
Oh yeah.
Like Harry Potter, like his birthday is Halloween or something like that, and it always happens.
I don't think it is.
Wizards and witches. It's
Okay.
a Halloween staple.
Okay, whatever. I was going to mention Hocus Pocus. Like, I remember when it came out. Well, not when it came out, but I remember watching it as a kid a bunch. And I really loved that movie. And it was a Disney Channel original. And that was when Disney Channel original movies were awesome, by the way. And that could be a whole other podcast, or a whole other episode. Because, like, when I was a kid, and I don't know even know if they do Disney Channel original movies anymore. Do they? Do y'all know?
I mean,
So
they do,
sure.
but they're bad.
Yeah.
I think currently they have like My Life as a Teenage Zombie or something like that.
I think you're right. And they have like the Descendants
It's
and all
like
that stuff.
green hair or something like
Straight
that.
to the dollar bin type movies.
Yeah. The last Disney Channel original movie I remember was a movie called Alley Cat Strike, as a bowling movie. But anyway, so then Hocus Pocus 2. Have y'all seen that yet? Hocus Pocus
Not
2.
yet.
Dang,
No.
guys, y'all need to get it
I
on.
remember seeing the first one when I was a kid. I don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
I don't get what the hype is over it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
that's kind of where I am. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm just like,
I mean,
uh,
I don't think you're gonna lose any sleep over not seeing it, but I did enjoy it. It was pretty a pretty cute movie. Like, and the three Sanderson sisters still did a great job through the whole movie. I thought it was great. And the movie,
Batman Forever. There's a scene with Riddler and Two-Face knocking on the door. Happy Halloween, and then Alfred opens the door and it gets banged in the head.
but is it Halloween or are they just being weird?
That scene was from taking place during Halloween.
Oh, gotcha. That's cool.
And then they interrupt a little intimate moment between Bruce Wayne and Nicole Kidman's character, Chase Meridian.
Is that her name? I thought it was Vicky. What is it?
No, that's 1989. That's Batman 1989. Vicky
What's her-
Vale.
Vicky Vale. Okay, yeah, she's in
That
the,
was
she's in the Arkham
Basinger.
games. Kim Basinger. No,
Oh,
yeah, it was Kim Basinger because Michelle
Yeah.
Pfeiffer played Catwoman. She was in the game, so
about-
Vicky Vale.
what about Death Becomes Her? Would you consider that a Halloween film?
Is that the one where one of them with Goldie Hawn and I think Meryl
yeah,
Streep?
Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep. They like drink a potion and become immortal.
And did they shoot a hole in one of them?
Yeah,
Okay, I remember that movie when I was a kid, but I was like so young that I just remember that part. Like I remember getting
like
a
one
hole
breaks the
shot
other's
in it.
neck, one shoots a hole through him.
Yeah, I would say that's a crazy movie. Is it take place during Halloween?
I don't know, man. I'm just kind of going off because it's kind of like it's mildly grotesque and it's kind of spooky. It's like, oh, they were immortal, and
I guess I'm just I haven't seen that movie
I
in a
don't know
while.
I just don't know what the criteria is
Movies that take place during Halloween,
during Halloween. Okay,
or
Even if
movies
it's
that
one
were
scene.
or movies that were released during Halloween. I guess. Well, I wouldn't consider Batman Forever a Halloween movie, even if it's like the whole is Die Hard a Christmas movie type thing.
it is.
Okay, well, I didn't
Or Home
ask.
Alone 2.
Home Alone 2 is a Christmas movie.
Is a movie. It is.
Any day of the year movie.
I mean, you can watch it any day of the year. I mean, make
Yeah.
it an any day of the year
I don't
movie.
think of Christmas immediately though.
It's
when
a
I watch
movie. It's a
either.
movie. It's the first thing I think of every Home Alone movie I've ever seen, and I've seen Home Alone 3.
That's a
And
that's a bad movie.
I remember when I watched that, which we can talk about that, around Christmas time. But I remember watching that and thinking that wasn't so bad, but I was also like super young, so I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
I'd feel
watched that
now.
a lot when I was like
Home Alone
7.
3, the
Home
kid
Alone
with the
3.
bowl cut. My God.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, his mom has to like leave for a little bit, so he's
He's
home
like
alone.
chicken pox or something
Yeah.
like that.
Did you see the new one with Kevin? Isn't his name Kevin
It's a
too?
reboot.
Reboot. My God, it's
No,
horrible.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Buzz is back in it, and the actors had some trouble in real life.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. Okay. Anything else y'all want to talk about scary movies? Anything that jumps out to you?
What makes a scary movie scary for you guys?
Oh,
For
dang!
me,
I meant to put that on there.
the music, the ambience, as I said. I get a little annoyed sometimes, and especially the paranormal type movies. Let's go pan over here, pan back. Okay, I'm waiting for where's the scare? Oh, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. All right,
Yeah.
let's move over here. Scary. We're jumping
Barely.
out. Yeah, we got to use sound effects to make the audience react. I mean,
Well,
I like the movies that don't rely so much on predictable camera movements or sound effects. Just let us see or hear what needs to be heard as to why the person on screen is reacting in the way they are. But I feel like without these sound effects, without the music, obviously, we probably wouldn't. I don't know, feel as
I believe you.
terrified.
Totally agree with you. Because I mean, then we're just watching somebody else's home video.
But some of the found footage, a lot of the found footage stuff, like the As So Below movie.
As above, so below.
Yeah, I don't remember much in the way of like artificial sound, like in the movie, but it was just all from their perspective. I felt like
I mean,
they did a pretty good job.
Technically, okay, yeah. I was just say technically it's all artificial sound, but yeah, you're saying like it sounded real.
Yeah, like they didn't need to
Yeah.
include like
It was believable.
cartoon sound effects or like how in the old cartoons like Looney Tunes they'd include sound effects for every movement, everything. Like they didn't have that type of
Okay.
editing.
I mean,
guess.
it's no surprise how much sound design affects a horror film. Like you were saying, like without the sound design, a lot of the horror movies we watch wouldn't be scary.
Nosferatu. Is that a silent film?
There's one movie I can't remember what it's called, but they used some like really deep like subhuman level hearing. They added some like bass to the soundtrack and it actually made people sick and like anxious because it was like some psychological thing that they did.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like what they did on VHS. Is like when something was about to happen, it was like, and it got louder. It was like almost like bass, just like bass expanding. And that's kind of what I think of when you mention that. It's like when something's about to happen, it's like, and it gets super loud. And then sometimes it quits.
Annihilation.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of, it's super weird. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, that was our main part of our episode. Unless you guys have anything else to say about
Happy Halloween.
I was just about to say that, Zach, you freaking jerk. Okay, so we're gonna try something a little new. So I like I used to listen to Game Scoop, which is an IGN podcast about video games, and at the end they would do what's called Video Game 20 Questions. And so Damien, the main host, would think of a game, and the people on the podcast with him would have to try to guess what the game is by asking up to 20 yes or no questions.
Oh dear. Okay.
So basically, I have a movie in my mind. Okay. You guys can ask up to 20 yes or no questions, and you alternate. So if Zach starts, he'll ask Jake. Zach, Jake.
Okay.
So if you guess before you hit 20, you win. If you try to guess, and let me rephrase. If you guess before you hit 20 and you're correct, you guys win. If you guess before you hit 20 and you're incorrect, you guys will lose and I'll win. It's like kind of like blackjack. You're playing the dealer. And so we'll alternate every week, or try this alternate every week, as whoever leads the podcast will, or that episode of the podcast will do the 20 questions. Does that make sense? We'll have to.
Is this a like not like? Are we still in the horror theme, or is this any movie?
So let's think. Hold on to that question. Okay.
He's even thought about the movie.
I got the movie. So the last thing I'm going to say is if you think you know it, don't just yell out the guess. You need to make sure with your partner that it's okay if you guess, because you could be wrong. Okay. So you guys ready?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So I don't care who starts, but whoever wants to start, ask a question.
Is this a superhero flick?
No.
Is it a horror movie?
Yes.
Does it involve centipedes and humans?
No. Centipedes and humans.
Is it?
I'm not that predictable, Zach. Jeez.
Is it a slasher flick?
No.
Is it a movie we discussed this evening?
Good question. No.
Is it a Netflix film?
Like a Netflix original?
Yes.
No.
Is it a paranormal genre
Yes.
movie?
Is it?
This is fun.
Or narrowed down to paranormal?
Yeah, but there's so much in paranormal. Does it evolve exorcism?
No.
Is it a part of a franchise?
Yes.
Is it a franchise we've talked about on our podcast?
Yes. 10 questions.
You could guess whenever.
If
Or
you're,
when can you guess?
you can
Like
guess.
guesses you get movie.
No, you get one guess, and if
Oh,
you guess
okay.
wrong, it's over.
Oh, okay.
That's
Good
why you
to
got to be
know.
careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose turn is it?
My turn.
think
I'm
it's
still
okay.
thinking. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Paranormal.
Don't look anything up,
I'm not looking.
I'm
Jake.
I'm not.
Yeah, and then you're,
not.
and then
You saw the light on his face.
yeah, then your screen shines on your face.
Is it?
That's cheating.
Is there a movie? Is one of the movies come out in the past 5 years?
No.
Wow, it's an older franchise. He's looking it up.
Yeah, I need to.
He's
I
looking
need
it
to-
up.
He doesn't even know.
No
I
looking
need-
it up.
Well, I just need to make sure. I can look stuff up. Yeah, I can look stuff up. I'm the one with the thing. Okay. Yes. Then no. The answer is no.
So it's a horror paranormal series we have talked about on the podcast. Are you thinking of a specific movie in this series?
Yes. I hope we keep doing this.
Is it found footage? Have you already asked that, Jake?
Yes.
So it's a found footage.
I only know of one series we've. Is it a cult classic?
Not really. No. I'd say no, because cult classic to me is like it wasn't popular and it kind of found a following later.
So it wasn't well received in the beginning. You're saying?
No, I'm not saying anything because I'm not allowed to. I'm just telling you what my definition of a cult classic is. That a cult classic is something that wasn't well received and found a following later. Jake asked if it was a cult classic, and I said no.
Is it Is it a popular? Is it what made?
What question are we on?
We're on
Yeah,
That's not a.
15. This will be your
15?
15th question.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
One sec.
rephrase then. Does it involve cameras installed in homes?
No.
Does it? Do we already ask?
15.
if it's found footage.
Yeah.
We already asked that.
And he
What
said
was the
yeah.
answer to that? It was
Yes. He said yes.
no. Okay. I think I have an idea of what it might be.
Well, you could ask questions geared toward that idea,
Yeah, but
but you only have 5
I'm
questions
trying
left.
to figure out the questions that are geared towards that.
Yeah.
Ask, is it 2 words?
Does the movie's name have witch in the title?
Yes.
What are we at? 16?
16.
You just asked your 16th question, so now you're on 17.
What the? Oh, okay. Oh, was it my turn still?
It's your
Yep.
turn.
I thought I already asked the question. He said that counted.
No, I
Is
didn't
it-
count.
Does the title have 3 words?
No.
That's how you sounded unsure about that response.
Sounding no.
Can
it
I
doesn't.
can I try to solve? I think I'm gonna try to solve it.
Do it.
Zach?
Yeah.
Is it the Blair Witch Project?
Yes.
Hey,
Isn't that 3 words?
The
No,
Blair
but
Witch
the.
Project.
Oh.
He's being pedantic.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Well, not pedantic.
Lord of the
semantic.
Rings, the Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
We
Nice
win.
job.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah. You won. You don't
What
get
was that?
anything.
What was it? 18 or 17?
We got to 18. I think we got to
Crazy.
17 questions. It would have been 18th had you.
Never even seen the movie.
Yeah.
I've seen it once. It wasn't bad. I've also seen the newer one from 2016, just called Blair Witch. It was okay. I saw that in theaters.
Did you guys ever see Hellraiser?
No, that's another one, and it just came out with a reboot on Hulu.
I heard
Or, a
decent
remake.
things about it.
Remake, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I've actually heard good things. It's weird. All right, cool. Well, hey, that was fun. So next week it'll be somebody doing it, right? Definitely somebody. Definitely somebody. Let's see. Let's see what next week is.
Just choose the most obscure movie you guys.
We don't know.
I thought about it.
We
I thought about it, but
Nah,
I
I
was
don't want
like,
to do that.
yeah, I thought about it, but I was
don't
like,
do that.
maybe later I'll choose like a more obscure movie. But right now I tried to choose something on theme
That
and
people know of, have heard
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
and that you know of. Oh, next week we're talking about actually. Next week we're supposed to be talking about American Pie, but I think we'll change that and we'll talk about that in a minute.
American
So,
Pie. I guess
yeah.
we got to watch the 2, 3, and 4.
God, you're way behind, Zach. All right,
I like
Anyway.
the first one. Was the webcam scene.
yeah, that's American Pie. We'll talk about it. Okay, well, hey, thanks for listening to us when indulging us in our movie 20 questions. That was fun. And next week it'll be somebody else thinking of the movie. So if you liked us, if you didn't like this episode, please hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple and Google Podcasts, and YouTube to listen to this episode and our older episodes. And what else, guys? If you have any episode ideas that you'd like us to, or movies you'd like us to watch, please let us know. And I think that's about it. And I will say happy Halloween to everybody. Have fun
Yeah.
getting candy. Trick or
Be
treat.
safe, kids.
Be safe. Don't eat razor blades.
Have a fantastic
Careful
spooky
of
holiday.
the Skittle-looking.
A spooktastic holiday.
A spooktastic.
I'm awesome. I'm so good at wordplay. All right. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys next time. Bye.